Learn what our insiders know about your home teams. Sports 1280 New Orleans.
I think we could just play this, and
I don't even know what it is.
Herbie would be happy.
I know it's the Game of Thrones thing, but it's so metal.
It's the death metal version.
It's so metal.
Dave does Herbie Teope a service every time he comes on. He tries to find Herbie a new Game of Thrones theme every time he comes on. That's because Dave loves you, Herbie. Come on, my man.
You know what, though, and it gets me pumped up. The crazy thing is, I just binge watched season 7 last weekend, so this is perfect. I'm in the Game of Thrones mood.
You know, the show doesn't come back on until like 2025, right?
2019. That's not correct. Okay, relax.
Slight exaggeration. That's all.
Herbie Teope covers the Saints, of course, for us for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Herbie, I want to start off with nothing Saints related. I want to start off with a couple of topics that you used to cover. Let's start off with Alex Smith. Traded to the Redskins. You've covered Alex Smith in another life before you started covering the Saints here with us. Just what do you make of Alex Smith as a quarterback? And what do you make of the way his career has been he's kind of been the guy who's never been appreciated, and now Washington they're showing some appreciation with the reportedly $70 million guaranteed 4-year extension.
Yeah, let's start off with the second part there first. I think most Chiefs fans, as they sit back, in the coming days or even the coming weeks, when they sit back and understand what Alex Smith did for the Kansas City Chiefs, he brought them a level of respectability. Before Smith arrived in 2013 via trade with the San Francisco 49ers, the Chiefs, I got to put on my former hat here now.
I'm sure you could find it. You could find the old the Kansas City Chiefs cookbook, from the recipes from all the staffers. You could get back in that mode.
Yeah, but from switching beats now, I'm just so used to saying Saints, but now you're asking me my former life questions, so I got to revert back to that form there. But going back to my point here, the Chiefs went through a hodgepodge of quarterbacks, a lot of them. Brady Quinn, Matt Castle, goodness gracious, Trent Green. I mean, there's just so many quarterbacks that they went through before Smith arrived in 2013, and he helped stabilize the position. And then all he did in 4 or 5 seasons in Kansas City was lead this team to the postseason. You're talking about a guy who was a leader in the locker room, a leader on the field, and he had the utmost respect from all the players. And this is a guy, after every game, no matter how well he did or how bad he did, graciously stood at the podium and answered every single question, no matter if they were mundane, if they were crazy. But this is a guy who was just solid as a rock. I mean, he was a pleasure to cover. I enjoyed covering Alex Smith in Kansas City. To the first part of the question, look at what he did in 2017. The Chiefs draft Patrick Mahomes, a guy that the Saints actually liked coming into the draft. But they drafted him, and you got a young guy that he knows is his future, is the team's future. And then eventually Smith is going to move out. But all Smith does in his final year is throw for a career high in passing yards. He throws 26 touchdowns and just tosses 5 interceptions. The guy is solid as can be, and I think Washington got a very good quarterback in Alex Smith. Very underrated, like you said, but he's solid.
Next topic, Doug Pederson. Of course, you covered him with Kansas City. He is on the verge of Super Bowl 52. You surprised he's been able to get this thing together? And just what do you anticipate seeing from a Doug Pederson team come Sunday when the Eagles take on the Patriots?
I'm not very surprised at his success because I think when you look at coaching trees in the National Football League, a lot of people always look to Bill Belichick, but you can't ignore the Andy Reid coaching tree. Folks who have been with Andy Reid, going back to their days in Green Bay, have really done well, and not just Doug Pederson. Ron Rivera was under Andy Reid. So when I look at Doug Pederson, he's got the good foundation from his time in Green Bay under Mike Holmgren, being coached by Andy Reid, then joining Andy Reid's staff with the Eagles, coming to Kansas City, and then going back to Philadelphia No, this is a guy who runs very disciplined type football. He also has a lot of reach traits where he allows his players to show their personality, but as long as they're performing on the field. And so when I look at the Eagles and I compare my time in Kansas City covering Andy Reid, I'm like, these two teams are mirror images of each other. With the exception of one thing. Pedersen has not blown a 38-10 lead yet, or a 21-3 lead yet. The dubious distinction that Andy Reid has, just not being able to seal the deal in the postseason. Pedersen in the second year is in the Super Bowl. You have to enjoy that success, and you have to enjoy the job he's done there.
Herbie, how do you think Nick Foles is going to fare? Speaking of Doug Pederson and what he's done, obviously has pulled the right offensive strings as far as Nick Foles coming in. He's had to change things after Carson Wentz went out. How do you think? Do you think Nick Foles is going to be able to continue the success that he's had in the first few games, the first couple games here in the playoffs, and continue it against this Patriots team?
And that's a fair question, but I think a lot of people also have to remember Foles is a veteran quarterback, and he's familiar with the scheme. Before coming to Philadelphia last year he was in Kansas City. Why is everything tying back to
I was about to say, did you cover Nick Foles? Yeah. I was going to ask, did you cover Nick Foles? I don't know if you did.
No, but because by the time Nick Foles joined the Chiefs in training camp of 2016, that I was already in the middle of changing beats. So I was in transition to New Orleans, so I didn't get an opportunity to cover him. But remember where he got his start. He got his start in Philadelphia when Andy Reid was the head coach there. And then when Reid came to Kansas City in 2013, he's under Chip Kelly and makes the Pro Bowl. So we're talking about an experienced quarterback here who knows the scheme. So going from Andy Reid in Kansas City to following Doug Pederson to the Eagles, yes, it took him a few games to get comfortable out there, but you're seeing what he's able to do. He can run what Doug Pederson wants him to do.
Herbie Teope covers the Saints for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, joining us right here on Dunc Holder. All right, we'll switch gears off of your previous life and move on to a life that you're living now. And this off season, we've already started kind of the Senior Bowl look. I know you're going to be heading up to the Combine here in a few weeks. What is the top position priority for you? Because I feel like it could vary depending on who you talk to. I'm curious, what do you feel like is the top position of priority where the Saints need to upgrade this offseason?
Tight end. And I think it starts at tight end. The Saints haven't had the dynamic catch receiver at the tight end position since Jimmy Graham left. And then, obviously, I wasn't here during the Graham era, but when you look at the statistics over the last two seasons, it's just not there. And I don't know what Coby Fleener is going to do. I don't think anyone really knows at this point. But after suffering his fifth career concussion last year, that's got to be weighing in his mind, so to speak. And also, the Saints have to be looking at it. Do we need an upgrade there? And I think they do need an upgrade there because you won't have that receiving threat at the tight end position. Josh Hill, Michael Hoamanawanui, we know what they're about. But, even though Josh Hill arguably put together his best career receiving games in the postseason, I think that's a position that they have to take a hard look at, is absolutely the tight end position.
Herbie, I don't think that they've ever really given Josh Hill a legitimate shot at being a receiving tight end. I mean, when they do give him chances, he seems to come through.
Except when he fumbles.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Sorry, what I say? What I do?
All right.
What did I do?
I was going to point that out to Larry. There were some drop and fumble issues there, but I think what you need, especially in this offense. Breeze loves the tight end position. I think we'll all agree on that one. And he just hasn't had that guy who's that disaster waiting to happen for a defense down the seam. He needs that kind of guy.
So you think, that we've been hearing grumblings and rumors and whatever about the possibility of Jimmy Graham coming back. I mean, do you think that's a legitimate possibility?
I think at this point anything is possible. But where a lot of this talk is going to be heating up is at the Combine, because this is one of the few events during the NFL's calendar year where you're going to have all the agents and all the general managers and all the scouting personnel under one roof. And the beauty of the Combine is it's always the precursor to free agency, because it's a week and a half after the end of the Combine, free agency kicks off. So once we're at the Combine, we're going to start hearing a lot of things, a lot of possibilities. Don't forget, last Combine, our colleague, Josh Katzenstein, was the one who actually broke the story that the Saints were looking to move Brandon Cooks because of everything you hear about at the Combine. So it's going to be critical of that week there.
Herbie Teope. Follow him on Twitter at Herbie Teope. And, of course, follow all of his coverage of all things Saints at NOLA.com and the Times Picayune.
Let's go karaoke, my friend.
They will.
Hey, I'm glad, when you brought me back to my prior beat, it's like the North remembers. Everything ties back to the Game of Thrones.
Is this like the
Boom.
Nintendo
That's what it sounds like.
of
Mario
This
Brothers.
is 8-bit.
Nintendo version of Game of Thrones.
See, Herbie, Dave goes overboard to satisfy your Game of Thrones fix.
The North remembers, my friend. Just remember that.
Thanks, Herb. See you, buddy.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, that's Hacksaw Herbie Teope.
Mike Tyson knockout.
Like
or something
Contra.
like that.
Something like that.
Contra.
It might be Contra.
That's definitely Nintendo
Double Dragon.
music.
Double Dragon, that too, yes. We're total losers, all of us. All four of us.
Time to go to break.
Time to go to break.
That's
and we'll add another loser to this loser bunch coming up next. Todd Grappanini, even
I'm a
though
loser, baby.
Tulane was a winner last night. So we'll talk with Todd in our final segment. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app, Dunc Holder.